In 2006, a man sat dying just below the summit of Mount Everest. The highest point on Earth was only meters above his head, but he never reached it. More than 40 climbers walked past him that day. Some thought he was already dead. Others knew he wasn't and kept going anyway. This man wasn't the first to die on Everest, and he won't be the last. Because above 8,000 meters, your body begins to shut down. Muscles waste away. Lungs drown in their own fluid. Your mind slips into confusion. Climbers call it the death zone, a place where mistakes aren't forgiven. But sometimes what happens there isn't just about nature. It's about choices. And this story is about three men, three climbers who chased the summit of Everest but never came back. Their names were David Sharp, Green Boots, and Scott Fischer. Their bodies still remain, frozen into the mountain, and the decisions that led to their deaths will forever change the way you see Everest. David Sharp. The lone climber, David Sharp, wasn't reckless. He wasn't careless. He was simply alone. In 2006, Sharp attempted what most climbers would never dare, climbing Everest without a team, without Sherpa support, without bottled oxygen. No safety net, just himself, his gear, and a dream of reaching the top in what he believed was the purest way. He chose the cheapest expedition he could find, a budget climb on the north side of the mountain. That meant no weather reports, no satellite communication, no backup plan if something went wrong. And on May 13th, 2006, he set off toward the summit. At some point during the night, he may have actually reached it. Later, climbers reported glimpsing a lone figure near the top, wearing gear that matched his. But by morning, David wasn't climbing anymore. At 8,500 meters, he was discovered curled inside a shallow limestone alcove known as Green Boots Cave. Next to him lay another frozen climber whose body had already become a landmark. David's limbs were stiff with frostbite. His oxygen mask was empty, his face covered with ice. But he was alive, barely. As dawn broke, climbers began passing him. Dozens of them. Some thought he was already gone. Others leaned close and heard him groan. A Sherpa checked his mask. Empty. Sharp whispered his own name. He begged to rest. But on Everest at that altitude, rest is another word for death. Teams debated what to do. Some radioed down. Others argued. A few stopped, but none stayed. Because in the death zone, even lifting another person can feel like dragging an anchor through hell. By the next morning, David Sharp was dead. Over 40 climbers had passed him. Not one had saved him. His body remained in that cave for nearly a year until Sherpas moved him off the trail, giving him the dignity the mountain had denied. The world was outraged. How could so many people walk past a dying man? Why didn't anyone share oxygen? Try to drag him down. Try anything? The answers are harsh. At 8,500 meters, most climbers can barely keep themselves alive. Radios fail. Weather changes in minutes. And David had chosen to climb in silence with no team to notice when he didn't return. He bet everything on Everest, and the mountain didn't return the favor. Green Boots, the silent marker just meters from where David Sharp lay, another climber had been frozen for nearly a decade. He was known not by name, but by what he wore. A pair of neon green boots that stuck out from the snow. Every team that climbed from the north side passed him. Every summit photo, every descent, every memory of Everest in that era carried his image. He was no longer a man. He was a milestone. His real name was likely Tsewang Paljo, a young Indian climber born in Ladakh in 1968. He served in the Indo-Tibetan Border Police, where he trained and climbed for his country. On May 10, 1996, Paljor and two teammates made a summit push late in the day. They radioed they had reached the top, but later analysis suggests they may have stopped at a false peak, still short of the true summit. Then a blizzard slammed into the mountain. Winds screamed at over 100 kilometers per hour. Temperatures fell below -40. None of them made it back. When climbers returned to that route, they found a frozen figure lying on his side in a small limestone cave. His arms folded, knees tucked as if in sleep, his face hidden beneath ice. But his bright green boots stood out, unmistakable. From then on, every climber knew the landmark. Green Boots Cave, a waypoint, a warning, a reminder. By 2006, when David Sharp collapsed in that very spot, many ascending climbers mistook him for Green Boots. They thought they were walking past a body that had been there for years, not a man still clinging to life. That confusion sealed his fate. For more than 2 decades, Green Boots remained there, a grim sentinel on the path to the top of the world. His identity mattered less than his presence. He became part of Everest itself, a silent witness to every triumph and every tragedy. Scott Fischer, the legend who fell. But not every climber who died on Everest was anonymous. Some were giants in the mountaineering world, and one of the greatest was Scott Fischer. By 1996, Fischer was already a legend. At 40 years old, he had climbed Everest without bottled oxygen, a feat that only the toughest could claim. He was charismatic, bold, and known for his mantra, "Get up, get down, get out." His company, Mountain Madness, was one of the most respected guiding outfits on Earth. But Everest doesn't care about experience or reputation or mantras. On May 10th, 1996, the same storm that claimed green boots, Fischer made his summit push. The day began with clear skies, but delays stacked up, bottlenecks at the Hillary Step, clients struggling, ropes not fixed in time. Fischer himself was ill, his speech slurred. He stumbled even with oxygen. Still, he pressed on. Hours after the safe turnaround time, he reached the summit. Just 20 minutes later, he turned back down. But something was wrong. His body was giving out. His lead Sherpa, Lobsang Jangbu, tried to help, practically dragging Fischer down the ridge. But by nightfall, Fischer collapsed near the south summit. Exhausted, freezing, nearly unconscious, he urged Lobsang to go down for help. It was the last decision he ever made. Anatoly Bukriev, another guide on Fischer's team, mounted a heroic rescue that night, saving multiple stranded climbers. But he couldn't save Scott. When Bukriev finally found him, Fischer's oxygen was gone. His hands were bare. His downsuit was unzipped, his arm hanging out, a textbook sign of hypothermia's final stage. Fischer died not because of one mistake, but because of dozens of small ones. Delays, illness, fatigue, ambition. Everest demanded more than even a legend could give. His body remains there today, frozen into the slope of the mountain he once conquered. Everest's final lesson, David Sharp, green boots, Scott Fischer, 3 climbers, 3 different stories. But one truth, Everest didn't just take their lives. It took their choices, their strength, their dreams. It left their bodies frozen in time, reminders for everyone who dares to follow, because on the world's highest mountain, the air is thin. The margin for error is thinner, and the cost? It's always heavy. The mountain never forgets.